You are watching ESPNcricinfo Match Day. 3 matches, 3 wins for New Zealand. All 3 wins coming while chasing a total, and not too big totals they've had to chase in the tournament so far. This one as well, 172 is all that Afghanistan got batting first. 41.1 overs is all that they could last, and then New Zealand chased that down with plenty to spare in 32.1 overs. Kane Williamson, the top scorer, with 79. But the man of the match here is Jimmy Neesham for picking up 5 wickets, giving away just 31 runs. This also happens to be his first 5-wicket haul in international cricket. Alongside me, Daren, Ganga, Ajit, Agarkar and Kyle Mills. Kyle, I'll start with you and we'll talk about Kane Williamson and that knock. Pretty unusual sort of a knock from him. Very subdued, trying to get back his form, you'd say?
Yeah, very similar to the knock against Bangladesh a few nights ago. I'm using the word workmanlike. He wasn't destructive or anything like that. I think he had a specific plan of how many runs he wanted to get for RPO and small targets along the way, and just working his way into some nice form. You touched on it just before the presentation about the running between the wickets between Ross Taylor and Kane Williamson. Well, yeah, I just don't know. I don't think it can be fixed. They just have to roll with it. They've tried to work on it for the past 7 or 8 years, but there's just going to be occurrences when these two run between the wickets. Things are just going to happen. But they got through it again today, which is good. But yeah, just workmanlike from Kane Williamson.
Right, they have to thank the Afghanistan fielders for that. Had an easy run-out chance there when Kane Williamson was on 22. They didn't make most of it, and which is why you had Kane Williamson then with the most number of runs for the New Zealand team. I'm just going to take that point forward of Kane Williamson. As he mentioned, workmanlike from Kane Williamson. Is it also because of the form that we've been seeing? And for some of us who watched him in the IPL, it's been similar sort of trend that we've seen.
Yeah, kind of missed quite a bit of the IPL at the start. I think had to sit out because of the team combinations. David Warner in good form. Doesn't help when you're not playing consistent games. But we've seen what a class player he is. I think there's time in the middle at the moment. Some of the conditions are actually there is some help for the bowlers, even if it's not going all over the place. There is something in it, so you've got to still work hard for your runs, and that's exactly what he's done. Like he said at the post-match, he had to get the job done, spend a bit of time in the middle. Come the bigger teams, at least you have runs behind you, and you'll start feeling confident. I'm sure the conditions will start getting better for batting as the sun beats down.
Okay, he didn't seem too worried about his form. He was asked that question. He said form's pretty fine, but we know he has that other game. Maybe he's saving it for when it's really needed.
The very good players in world cricket, they understand their game properly, and they know when they need to have game time and time out in the middle, and that is what I think he is doing. He had an injury, a shoulder injury. That's what kept him out of some of the matches in the IPL as well. This New Zealand team, they're playing according to their own style. By no way they're a team with a lot of flair. They're very efficient in how they go about the business of playing cricket in all departments. And we're seeing exactly that. They're working hard. They're getting their wickets. I mean, everyone expects that they will go on to beat Afghanistan. And they've done the business. And with no scare, with not a crisis. And if you look at this tournament so far, they're the only team with 3 wins. So they're sitting pretty, building a nice momentum, and their players, different players, been stepping to the fore and performing with bat and ball. And I think that's an ideal position that Kane Williamson would have wanted to find himself 3 matches into this World Cup.
The good thing is, I mean, they've played Afghanistan, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, who they were expected to beat. And there's not been a hiccup, which is the good thing. I know there'll be a lot tougher test, but you don't want to miss or slip against those 3 teams and drop points and unnecessarily put yourself under pressure.
All right, Kyle, you wanted to make a point.
Yeah, no, just following on both the points made by the lads here, Daren and Ajit. This tournament's going to get a whole lot harder now for the New Zealand cricket team. India next up, 3 must-win games earlier on, and I think they're not going through the motions, but also not knocking the door down either. They're just ticking things along just nicely. But from here on in, this tournament gets very, very serious for the New Zealand cricket team.
All right, okay, fair point. Do you think anything that really needs to be fixed at the moment for New Zealand and going ahead?
Well, if you hark back to the Bangladesh innings, that middle order got put under a lot of pressure, but I think that might be a good point for those guys to be put under pressure at this stage in the tournament, because the remainder of the World Cup, they're going to be put under pressure probably 3 or 4 times, because this is the nature of the beast. So they've had a taste of it. Surely you would like probably if Tom Latham to have a bit more time in the middle, Mitchell Satner having a bit more time in the middle. But look, they're 3 from 3, they're on a roll. hopefully it can continue for that side. But as I just touched on before, India next there, well, one of the favourites for the tournament. That's going to give a great line in the sand of where the New Zealand cricket side is at.
Okay, let's quickly take a look at the points table now. What has this win for New Zealand done to the points table? Of course, it's pushed them right on top. The only team to have got 6 points out of the 3 games that they've played, followed by England and Australia at 4 points apiece. And look at Afghanistan there. No points to show for the moment, in the same boat as South Africa, having played 3 games. Daren, coming to you. I mean, New Zealand are looking like the real deal. But let's talk about Afghanistan, because this is a conversation we've been having that they could be giant killers. They're not the same team that were there in the 2015 World Cup, but it's not really happening for them.
It's not, and we got to be fair in terms of their maturity as a team. I don't think they're close to any of the other teams in this World Cup. You got to give them credit as well. I looked at that interview with Naib Gulbadin. Very relaxed, looks like he's enjoying his cricket. He's a new captain, and he speaks openly about his team and their deficiencies. So that is what you want to see. You want to see teams who have not had the experience of playing against some of the best teams in world cricket embrace the challenge and also learn from it. I think you're seeing more players getting an opportunity. Ali Kill, the young wicketkeeper, getting a chance to play. He didn't look too bad behind the stumps, either with the bat. So they're exposing more Afghanistan players. I think that will strengthen their cricket. But I don't think anyone expected them to go very far in this competition, given the fact that they are still at the development stage as a team and as a cricketing nation.
Sure, no one really expected them to really make the next round, but maybe a win here or there was something that was expected out of Afghanistan. Kyle, sorry, you wanted to make a point.
From Darren's points, all the other teams in world cricket at the moment have got a good domestic 4-day cricket, first-class cricket foundation. And if you look at the Afghanistan team, where they lack is batsmanship. 4-day cricket, first-class cricket, is where you learn batsmanship. Ajit mentioned it before in the mid-show. They come from a diet of T20 cricket. Now they're expanding it out to the 50-over cricket. So they're almost coming from a different angle than all the other teams in world cricket, where young players come through a first-class system into one-day cricket. And they're certainly lacking batsmanship, and I certainly believe it comes from that 4-day cricket background.
Ajit, interesting point, because, we've sometimes have these reputations based on T20 cricket. We saw Afghanistan play that test match versus India, and that is when the difference was chalk and cheese. And maybe 50 overs cricket, that's also coming out now.
Yeah, but although they've been better in 50-over cricket, but completely agree with Kyle. I think it's a challenge from where they've come, and that's why we praise them as much as we do with the progress that they've made in such a short period of time. We've heard some stories of, having a sort of rundown chopper as a dressing room when they were used to play cricket. So to come from there and compete at this level, it's an incredible achievement. You still want to start, you just expect more and more out of them with the progress that they've had. It's obviously going to be tougher, as they are finding out in this World Cup. But there have been enough results in international cricket over the last few years to suggest that they've got what it takes. But they need more cricket. They need more cricket. I think they play a lot of their cricket in India, up in the north, and they need a lot more of it to get better. Because the more time you spend playing, or just the match temperament, can only come the more you play.
The next question is a matter of conjecture, but what if Rashid Khan was bowling? Could it have made any difference to the result?
Of course. I mean, he is a wicket taker, a genuine wicket taker, and he's shown that, in the T20 version of the game in 50-over cricket. He is a key member of this Afghan team, not only with bat, but with ball. That's his area of specialty. So they would have been more competitive had he been available, but circumstances beyond his control would have kept him out. So that was another unfortunate thing for Afghanistan. But again, it's another opportunity given to another person. They've just got to try and learn as quickly as possible. I think with the opportunities to play outside of their national setup with some of their players going into T20 leagues, that's going to be helpful for them. I think it's a nation that is very high on cricket right now. A new generation is being inspired by the current generation here. So in years to come, I'm sure this Afghan team will become better and better.
Right. He says learn as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, that's not happening. I'm going to be nitpicking, but we go back to that point of Nabi. You know, Rashid's not fit. You're not playing Mujib in this game. Nabi does really well. You give him the ball. But then again, I think 13th to the 14th over is when you really gave him the ball.
Yeah, I think there was a bit in it for the seamers. I think when you get a wicket of the first ball, you hope your seamers can create an impact. I think they were okay. Maybe today was an exception where they could bowl their seamers for a bit longer. We saw when New Zealand bowl, every time you hit the deck hard, you got something out of it. And they got a couple of wickets like Daren pointed before in the first power play. So today wasn't such a, I think it was okay to give him bowling a bit later. But yeah, those sorts of things they'll have to keep improving as they go, depending on the situation, try and, and that's experience. I think a new captain again, it's not an easy thing for them to do because the options are so limited or, they don't have as much on the bench to help them out going forward. So, as tough as it is to look sometimes, but it's going to take them a bit of time.
Talking about options, I'm coming back to you. Rahmat Shah, we saw him bowl a bit. He turned the ball. One wonders why wasn't he given bowling before?
Maybe Rashid Khan's teaching him at the moment. Yeah, spun him. I think Ross Taylor edged it a couple of times, was beaten. Yeah, those sorts of things I think we don't know. I think that in their camp, those are the things they should be able to find out. Little bit of a surprise that he hasn't bowled much because he can easily give them a few overs in a game.
The other thing, I mean, I know we're raising questions about the captain, but question would be raised of him as well. Is he really contributing enough? To keep someone like an Asghar Afghan out who can give solidity in the middle order. You've got the new captain. I know he's come in as an all-rounder, but really not happening with the ball for him.
Yeah, he's contributed with the bat, not really with the ball. Like I said before, his track record shows that he's been more effective in the middle overs, picking up a few wickets. He hasn't been able to do that. I mean, he's playing against some of the better teams in world cricket, so it will be a challenge. Maybe the burden of captaincy as well weighing on him, having the responsibility to make decisions, something that he's not accustomed to. And I think you heard that in his interviews. He said he was surprised, never expected to be given the responsibility to lead Afghanistan national team. And there it is, he's embracing it with a smile on his face. So you must give him credit for that. I don't know how good he is in terms of inspiring the other players in his team, but he's got to try and do that in the remaining matches and see if they can upset one or two teams in this World Cup. I think that will be an accomplishment to take note of in this World Cup for Afghanistan.
All right, it hasn't happened for Afghanistan in this game as well. 3 matches and 3 losses, but just the update once again for Rashid Khan. He wasn't fit to take the field, but will be ready for the next game that they play South Africa in 6 days' time. We'll take a short break, but stay with us. We've got plenty more on the other side.
In one of the 2015 World Cup quarter-finals, West Indies were chasing a mammoth 394, and Marlon Samuels was off to a blistering 27 of 15 balls. But when one of his uppercuts flew to third man, Daniel Vettori single-handedly brought an end to his innings, quite literally.
I was lucky enough to take the catch off Marlon Samuels. I mean, at third man, you don't really expect that sort of catch, but it was a pretty crucial moment in the game because Chris Gale and Marlon Samuels had just started to take off. They were obviously chasing a huge score, and Martin Guptill got a double 100, but they were going, and I think they were above the required run rate. We'd taken some wickets, but still, when those two are the crease, it's pretty daunting. So to take that catch was special. I think it's the thing that I get remembered for more than anything, and it's the thing that my son's friends bring up more than anything. So if I've got anything left in the game or cricket, it'll be that my son's friends know me for that. James's dad took that catch.
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. It promises to be a super Sunday because two giants of international cricket would be clashing there. Match number 14, India versus Australia at the Oval. Now remember, India coming off a win versus South Africa, and Australia too have won 2 games out of the 2 that they've played so far. So we're building up to this big encounter. Let's get you the latest then from London, and we've got Melinda Farrell of ESPN Cricinfo with this report.
Frightening incident at Australia's training session here at the Oval ahead of the match against India. One of the net bowlers was struck in the head on his follow-through while bowling to David Warner. He was treated by medical staff who were present at the ground and was taken to hospital. The good news is he had scans and they came back clear, so it all seemed to be okay, but it did really rattle the Australians. They stopped training for about 20 minutes and Dave Warner was particularly shaken up by what had happened. Now for India, there was no such drama around their training session. It went as per usual, and in fact that seems to be the theme heading into this match against Australia. It is as per usual. These two sides have faced each other so much in recent years, and even in the past 6 months. They've played in different formats. They've played each other in Australia. They've played each other in India, and that was really the key to what Rohit Sharma talked a bit about today, and what others around the camp are saying. These two sides know each other inside out. All the matchups that are ever talked about, they're talking about them again. Nothing really is going to catch either of these sides, I think, by surprise. And all that matters this time around is just who comes out on top.
All right, two teams that they've played each other plenty of time in the recent past. But the good news that's coming from London is the fact that India finally got some chance to practice because they were indoors. It was raining there, so didn't get too much time out there as far as the net practice is concerned. Ajit, Agarkar, Daren, Ganga are still with me. The news, Daren, we were getting about that spin bowler getting hit. That also tells you how Australia have been preparing for this clash. They've got 2 Indian origin spin bowlers bowling to them in the nets.
Yeah, teams are very thorough in how they prepare, very specific about where they would like to improve. And you would think when you're coming up against India, that threat of Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav, that will be something that they will try to resist because of the pair and their wicket-taking abilities, both bowlers. So I think that's good. It's something that is not surprising from teams. This test is really going to probably define which team is highest on the pecking order. A lot of people were saying England. When Pakistan came and got the better of England, they kind of brought England back down to earth. So maybe the winner of this contest, you would say, will be the best team so far in the World Cup.
Alongside England, probably, who are looking very, very good in this tournament. I'm just staying back with that trend. It's been a trend with Australia. We've seen Sridhar Sriram been with the Australian team, helping their tweakers. And this has paid dividends of how they've been performing against the Asian side.
Excuse me. Seems to be the case. I think he was also got on to help them prepare to play against spin. And he's been with them for a while. So surely there's something that's going right. But they've also got players who play spin well. I think that's also the case. Steve Smith, I think, has tormented India over the last couple of years, 3 years that India's played them. 6 months back, you wouldn't have given Australia a chance, or India would have been clear favourites. It's not the case anymore. I think the two teams are much closer. Australia, obviously, getting a lot of the things right coming into this competition, and India showed in that first game against South Africa, even in a little bit of trouble with their batting, still comfortably won. So. Hopefully they play to their potential. Should be a cracking game tomorrow.
3-2 was the result last time that we were here in India, and then won that series. Do you think any sort of an impact of that series would be there on the teams?
Not really. I think different conditions. It's a one-off game in a World Cup. It's still earlier on league phase. Both teams know each other really well, so I don't think that result will have any bearing. Australia played well on the day to win 3-2, but no, I think it's a different game today, and they'll approach it differently. I think different conditions completely, playing in England and playing back home in India.
I don't want to trivialize what happened there. It was David Warner who was actually batting in the net. It was also telling you how good a form that man is in the net when bowlers are really failing to spot the ball that's coming out of his bat.
Yeah, he didn't score against the West Indies, so he want to make up for it.
To go.
This is really a clash of the titans, you would say.
All right, it is a clash of the Titan, India versus Australia. That is the game that's coming your way on Sunday. Of course, we'll take a look at that game very, very closely on ESPNcricinfo Match Day when we build up. So do join us. Then we'll look at the playing 11, any changes that India would like to make going ahead. And then the return of Steve Smith, David Warner versus the Indian team. Remember, the last time Australia won 3-2, we're talking about in India. These two won there. So it only makes the Australian team more stronger. Thanks so much for joining us. You are watching ESPNcricinfo Match Day. We'll see you again tomorrow.